Alrighty then, Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 592, Word Quotient. You see me? Alright, word quotient. Is there a target word count for each genre? Well, there's a general idea of what makes a good word count for a genre, but look at urban fantasy. You would think 60, 70,000 words might be a good target figure, maybe 90,000. Look at Harry Potter. The first book was 70,000 words, and the seventh book in that same series was 230-some thousand words, I believe. So what is the right number? Whatever it takes to tell the story. And that is regardless of genre. Yes, people who read epic fantasy are used to reading long, drawn-out tales, Sword of Shannara, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, just massive, massive tomes and long, long stories. However, space opera / military sci-fi, you've got Battlefield Earth, which is just absolute bazillion words under a single cover. And then you have some Berserker series by Ben Bova, and those are about 50,000 words each. It's whatever the story requires. So you tell a complete story, you have a good flow, you have a good rhythm of conflict and resolution, and then you get to the end, and it's the end. If you're adding stuff just to add stuff, whether it's stream of consciousness, whether it's side plots that don't necessarily support the plot, the main plot, the backbone of the story, just do that with great care. If it doesn't add value, don't add it. If it does, add it, and if there's a lot of it, well, make sure it has good flow and keeps the reader reading. Because the reader makes their decision generally on the first page within the first chapter. If you can hold their attention then, you can hold their attention through the book using the same style, the same level of engagement, and then you take the book as long as it needs to be for that story. So, reader entertainment time. Is it okay to bogart the reader's entertainment time? Only the reader decides. And that's if you're telling a good story, the reader will come on board and stay on board. I've found in one of my series, my Space Lawyer series, that the readers like to read it in one sitting. So the one that was 100,000 words long, it wasn't as well received as the ones that are generally 60, 65,000 words, because my readers can read that in about 4 hours. That's a good block of time for them to read it without having to stay up all night. The 100,000 word one took 2 sittings. So that was just a little bit too much for most of them, even though, yes, they did it. Yes, they liked the story, but not as much as the books that were about 65,000 words. Unique. These are things you learn. Tell the story that needs to be told. So how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? It's the unanswerable question. If you're not telling the story, but you're going really long just because, hey, these books are generally 150,000 words, then rethink your strategy. Because if you lose readers somewhere along the way, they're not coming back. So if you write the next book, they aren't there. They aren't there to get the next book. So always make sure your story is gripping all the way through. So the constraints aren't the constraints that you might think, which is a word count. The constraints are the quality of the story. Do you have them engaged? Is it epic in scope? And this is the thing with epic fantasy. You might have 2 or 3 pages of descriptions of a castle, and that's what the readers expect. Manage your reader expectations and deliver to those. And so when you're doing that, of course the books are going to be a little bit longer. Especially you have these characters and they're doing wondrous things and they're traversing huge distances, it takes time. It takes time in the story as long as they're still doing things to get where they need to go. Keep the plot happening, keep the plot moving forward, and take the story as long as it takes to tell the complete story, even if you're moving on to the next volume in a multi-volume series. But still, leave the reader satiated, satisfied, and then set them up for the next one. That's how you make money in this business, keeping them on board for the next book too. All right? Peace, fellow humans.